Hello everyone, today is 27th of September, Friday, so I hope you will have a wonderful day and a great upcoming weekend. Now it's 10 past 10 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Later on today, I will publish a new episode of Headlines, short summary of their news that I will talk about in a bit more detail during the second news update on my Patreon and their Boosty pages. And if you like my work, if you like my channels and want to receive more news from Russia, from me, and also a commentary, you're more than welcome to join our community on Patreon or Boosty. Links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. That's being said, let's talk about news now. And first of all, report of RIA Novosti about Russian long-range precise strikes on logistics and military infrastructure of the Kiev regime in Izmail city of Odessa region. Let's translate this news to be more precise. So pro-Russian underground reported about these strikes, and details are that during the strike on Izmail, port infrastructure facilities were damaged, including warehouses of the Western armored vehicles, and there were also killed among their foreign mercenaries. Sergei Lebedev, coordinator of the Nikolaev pro-Russian resistance, told the RIA Novosti. There is a hit in warehouses where all week they accumulated equipment brought by ferries. According to their description, there were self-prepared guns, 155 millimeter self-prepared howitzers basically, and there were anti-aircraft guns, Cheetah, said their agency interlocutor. Said this person. Sergei Lebedev, who is a coordinator of the pro-Russian underground or pro-Russian partisans in Nikolaev region. So interesting developments. Let me show you on the map this area, dear friends. So Izmail city is on Danube River, of course, and this is the city itself, and this is approximately area which was targeted by Russian armed forces, and according to partisans, strike was successful, and their number of 155 millimeter self-prepared howitzers and their anti-aircraft guns were destroyed, and also foreign mercenaries were neutralized because it's a southern sectors of the front line. One may assume that among those killed mercenaries they could be British military personnel, because usually it's British SAS, British militaries and intelligence services staff that is quite active on the southern sectors of the front, including Nikolaev, Odessa regions. If any update on this news, of course, I will share additional information in the headlines program and also on my Telegram page. All of dear friends, we have also very important continuation of this news, which is that according to pro-Russian underground or pro-Russian partisans, Romanian fighter jets were involved in the operation to repel Russian airstrike on Izmail direction, which is a quite interesting statement, really, from partisans. They report that two Romanian fighter jets even crossed airspace of Ukraine. So let's go through this news. So Romanian air defense forces took part in repelling a night strike on Izmail. The coordinator of the Nikolaev pro-Russian resistance, Sergei Lebedev, told RIA Novosti. And according to him, it's known that not only Ukrainian but also Romanian air defense took part in repelling the attack. Izmail's resistance reports that at the end of the attack, two fighter jets from Romania flew into the territory of Ukraine, which is a very important, obviously, development. If, of course, we will receive confirmation of this news, Probably local pro-Russian partisans know better, and I don't think Nikolai Lebedev or Sergei Lebedev, sorry, would share this information without having several, at least, confirmations that some planes flew into Ukraine's airspace from Romania. Question is, are these planes belong to key regime's air force that were stationed in Romania, or these planes were actually from Romanian air force? It does make some difference, although in any case, Bucharest is of course risking big time if it's willing to directly get engaged in this proxy war against Russia, because Russian response, if things hit the fan, Russia will not treat Romania in a way that Russia is acting in Ukraine. Everyone should understand that, and Russian response to NATO member states will be 100-fold more tense. And Bucharest leadership of Romania in Bucharest should really think twice before they get involved in this proxy war. It's not gonna end well for Romania. They should realize that, and the Romanian people should know how inadequately their leadership is acting. But yet again, let's see if Russian Defense Ministry will share with us any additional information on this report from pro-Russian underground there. So it is very significant development, obviously. RIA Novosti is also reporting that Russian armed forces are on outskirts of Guliai-Polye now. This was reported by a governor of Zaporizhzhia region, Balitsky, and also let's translate this news. So the Russian armed forces are already on the outskirts of the city of Guliai-Polye in Zaporizhzhia region. Regional governor Evgeny Balitsky said in an interview with the RIA Novosti, from the point of view of their entire front line, which is now in Novorossiya, in the Donbass, of course, we are not the main section today. Therefore, our movements are still insignificant. Our armed forces are now on the outskirts of the city of Guliai-Polye. That is our progress in small but general. We are not the main site, Balitsky said. So he's acknowledging, local governor of the region, is acknowledging that, well, sector is not the most active one on the battlefield right now, which is correct, obviously, which is true in comparison to Donetsk sector or South Donetsk sector. Of course, Zaporizhzhia sector can be seen as a quiet one, although there are some progress there are some activities in this direction, obviously, and Russian troops lately, last 2-3 weeks at least, are increasing pressure on key regime's formations on the western flank of Zaporizhzhia sector, in areas of Kamenskaya and also Kamenskaya, Lubkovo, Stepovo, and also Russian troops increasing pressure on Rabotina area towards Orekhov city, obviously, and also towards Guliai-Polye. So some activities definitely are taking place. And dear friends, this is not the small. I mean, governor of the region is clearly downgrading significance, in my opinion, significance of the progress, this local scale or sectoral scale progress of the Russian armed forces in this area, because Russian troops are approaching Guliai-Polye, which is definitely significant. This is the Guliai-Polye, by the way, quite a large settlement, and as you can see on the map, Russian troops clearly are on outskirts of this town. So it is significant. It is significant. Also, dear friends, while map is open, let me give you additional information about situation in Ugledar. According to reports that I see, all roads, by the way, all supply and support roads that are garrison of Ugledar, key regime's garrison, had or or were using previously are cut now and are under direct Russian fire control, which means that this garrison of the Kyiv regime is effectively is cut from the rest of the territory that is temporarily controlled by this occupying regime in Kyiv. So Ugledar is encircled. That's what that means. That if all the roads, if all the supply and support roads are under direct Russian fire control, what that means, if not encirclement of the city. And also, dear friends, yesterday on several Telegram channels, I read their information that was based on a report of the Russian militaries from this area. And these reports are based on interceptions of the radio communication of their enemy forces. So it seems like a significant significant number of the units of the Kyiv regime has no idea what is happening inside and around Ugledar. And they are leaving positions and retreating chaotically. These people are in some informational vacuum. They just don't know what is going on, and it seems like Kyiv regime is not really informing its garrison in Ugledar about dire situation that they are in, which clearly is an indicator that Zelensky and his criminal associates are sacrificing garrison of their Ugledar and are not telling them not just about the true situation around the city, but also not allowing them to at least try and withdraw from the town. Although right now, if all the roads are under direct fire control, it's just too late. It's just too late for local garrison of Kyiv regime to withdraw, because they're gonna have immense casualties in the process. So yes, city of Ugledar is quite effectively is encirclement. RIA Novosti is also reporting. Oh, I already shared this information, isn't it? So we have Vzglyad newspaper's report here that head of Bundeswehr commented on a topic of updates in Russian nuclear doctrine, and Pistorius, as many other so-called leaders in the West, did try to downgrade significance of these developments, which is dangerous, by the way. One thing is, if these so-called leaders in the West are downgrading significance of the topic just for internal use, just for propaganda purposes, but very different is if they truly believe that these changes in Russian nuclear doctrine means nothing and they don't care about it, because it is too dangerous. I mean, they may really provoke some next level of escalation for which not just NATO is not ready, but world is not ready. So these people, these inadequate, irresponsible people in the Western ruling class is clearly danger for everybody. So let's go through this news. Updating Russia's nuclear doctrine will not change the foreign policy of NATO and Germany. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said at the press conference with Lithuanian Defense Minister Laurynas Kasčiūnas. According to Pistorius, Germany and the North Atlantic Alliance are following their own course. According to reports on RIA Novosti, there is no need to comment on this at all. Tomorrow we will be something. We will be something different. We go our own way. We do what we think is right, he said. Earlier, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called the changes proposed by Russian president to the Russian nuclear doctrine irresponsible and untimely. I don't even know what that word means, by the way, but I mean, who is talking about irresponsibility? Unbelievable. Representatives of this criminal, mass murderers, genocidal Western ruling class is talking about irresponsibility. This is tragic, by the way. This is no longer laughable. This is just tragic. So as I said, dear friends, because of these inadequate people in their, that are formally in charge of their collective West, the world may end up in really dark place. Because seems like they don't really understand. There are no messages, no warnings, no nothing from nobody. Seems like they really truly see themselves as some sort of gods on this in this world or something, you know. Some sick individuals, man, sick individuals. But you know what? Bring it on, man. Many times were attempts to, you know, to attack us. There was many attempts previously in history, and enemies always failed, right? And this time will be no any different. But Western ruling elites, they are unable to learn from history, by the way. They are unable to learn in general. RT is reporting also that US spies fear lethal retaliation from Russia. Well, at least some people among think tanks in the West or intelligence community are more or less informed, more or less adequate. Seems like, which is at least something, isn't it? So US intelligence agencies have warned that Moscow may retaliate against Kyiv's Western backers directly if they permit Ukraine to use long-range missiles to strike deep inside Russia. New York Times reported on Thursday, according to an intelligence assessment cited by the newspaper, analysts believe that even if Ukraine is allowed to use Western-supplied missiles freely, it will not significantly impact the conflict itself due to their limited numbers of those long-range weapon systems. Furthermore, after initial strikes, Russia would likely relocate vital functions out of the range, making it harder for Kyiv to achieve any military objectives. Well, these criminals, by the way, in the West still continue to push this narrative that its topic is about allowing Kyiv regime to strike deep inside Russian territory, when this is a false narrative. Kyiv regime in no circumstances will be able to launch these long-range strikes deep inside Russian territory, and we all know this because Kyiv regime has no technical meanings, satellite navigation, satellite intelligence. Kyiv regime has nothing basically, and even Umerov, whatever name is of the so-called defense minister of Kyiv regime, is saying openly, as I reported yesterday, that they are more than 80% dependent on their NATO. They have nothing basically on their own, right? And everyone understands if these long-range strikes will take place, that will be NATO's direct strike on Russia. And of course, Russia will retaliate. In a way that Russia will see feasible. So yes, at least in something, this intelligence community in the US are correct. That most likely, yes, Russia will retaliate. Moreover, such a decision would be a high-stakes gamble, as it could lead to lethal attacks on US military assets worldwide. The New York Times reports Russia's potential response could range from stepped-up acts of arson and sabotage targeting facilities in Europe to potentially lethal attacks on US and European military bases, according to their assessment. US officials reportedly believe that if Moscow decides to retaliate, it will likely do so cowardly rather than through overt attacks to reduce the risk of a wider conflict. The US and its allies have provided Ukraine with 3 types of long-range missile systems, US-made ATACMS, and also I will count HIMARS multi-launch rocket systems as also long-range, because it can fire rockets, not just ATACMS by the way, but also rockets, other rockets for 150 kilometers, which is a quite long range in tactical space. Also, a British Storm Shadow and the French Scalp EG missiles. Kyiv has repeatedly used these missiles to target infrastructure and civilian areas in Crimea and other regions that have become a part of Russia's US intelligence community, that most likely has some information from Russia also, because I could not believe that US secret services have no assets in Russia. Probably they do, and I hope Russian counterintelligence services will take care of them as effectively as possible and as soon as possible. But I mean, there are always these bigger intelligence services. They always have their assets in different countries. US cannot be exception, and probably they know for sure that if these long-range strikes will take place, Russia will retaliate. Question is, will this so-called political leadership in the collective West, will this so-called Western ruling class will listen to its own intelligence? And that's a big question, isn't it? Let's continue. TASS News Agency is also reporting, based on article in Bloomberg, that supplies of weapons to Kyiv regime in 2025 is under question. Due to lack of funds that Western backers of the Kyiv regime are experiencing nowadays. Interesting. Let's go through this news also in a bit more detail. So the supply of Western weapons to Ukraine in 2025 was in danger of disruption due to a lack of money from Kyiv's allies. This was reported by Bloomberg, citing sources. According to them, some allies are experiencing difficulties with the funding, while others are refusing to increase financial assistance to Kyiv. Most of these Western obligations are related to a previous provision of the $50 billion loan to Ukraine from proceeds from the frozen Russian assets. Kyiv's allies are still haggling over the final details of this deal, and the United States is trying to prevent Hungary from blocking EU's efforts in this regard. The final amount may not be sufficient if an agreement is not reached, the publication notice. But even if such an agreement is reached, 50 billion is still not enough to support Ukraine's needs for another year of the conflict, according to people with the knowledge of the situation. So yes, 50 billion is not enough. Of course, I mean, 300 billion already was spent by Western so-called elites on this proxy war against Russia, and they didn't really achieve much, isn't it? All they manage is to prolong this conflict and prolong suffering of the people. And of course, another 50 billion will only prolong this conflict for a bit more, and that's it. Of course, no amount of money that West might spend on this proxy war against Russia, no volume of weapons can turn the tide. It's just technically not possible. It's just technically not possible. West can escalate constantly, but at some point, if they not stop, then they will provoke a full-scale nuclear exchange, and that will be it for everybody, for entire world and humanity, right? So that's why I'm saying, dear friends, time after time, that Western ruling elites, Western ruling class is existential threat for whole of humanity. And this is true. And I really believe a vast majority of their humanity will agree with this point of view. So yes, in 2025, Kyiv regime may experience even more difficulties when it comes to money and weapons supply than it is now in 2024. RIA Novosti is also reporting that US will provide Kyiv regime with a new type of long-range weapon systems. This is glide bombs, dear friends, basically. So let's go through this news also. Although, let me notice that yesterday Biden and Zelensky met, and I watched some short fragments of the video of their meeting, and Biden announced a new military aid package for 2.4 or 2.5 billion US dollars, and I guess this new type of long-range weapon systems will be included in this new aid package. So United States is transferring to Kyiv planning guided weapons for long-range destruction. U.S. President Joe Biden said they enhance Ukraine's long-range capabilities. To enhance Ukraine's long-range capabilities, I have decided to provide Ukraine with the long-range guided weapons, JSOW, Biden said in a statement posted on the White House website. Russian President Vladimir Putin said earlier that NATO countries are now discussing not just the possible use of Western long-range weapons by Kiev, but in fact they are discussing whether to get directly involved in the Ukrainian conflict. The direct involvement of the Western countries in the Ukrainian conflict will change its essence, and Russia will be forced to make decisions based on the threats created in this way, he added. So any long-range strikes, by the way, deep inside Russian territory can be seen Russian and will be seen by Russia as the direct involvement of the NATO member states in this conflict. And well, Russian president was very clear on that, and many other officials, by the way, that retaliatory steps will not force it to wait too long. There will be retaliation for that, and even U.S. Intelligence community is on the same page on that Russia will retaliate heavy-handedly. And when it comes to these weapons, by the way, JSOW, this is the glide bombs basically, and experts are divided on this topic. I read several articles on that. According to some experts, these weapons are of course a serious addition to the arsenal that NATO is using against Russia, but in other hand, military experts also are saying that NATO most likely, and NATO proxies in Kiev-controlled territory most likely will struggle to utilize these weapon systems, because to maximize effectiveness of these glide bombs, planes that are dropping it have to fly very high altitudes to make sure that range is long enough, and the Kiev regime or NATO cannot operate with planes on high altitude because of the Russian long-range air defense systems. So effectiveness, according to some experts, effectiveness of GSOW glide bombs will be very limited, and they might be used only as some gravity bombs, and that's it, without any enhanced range. But yet again, I'm no military expert, I cannot know for sure, but yes, it is obvious that Kiev regime and NATO cannot operate with the planes on high altitudes because of the Russian long-range air defense. Anyways, let's continue. RBK news agency is reporting that, well, China and the global south in general are proposing to create a special platform to fast-track peaceful solution for a Ukrainian conflict. Let's translate this news also, because it is interesting. It is interesting for sure. So China, Brazil, and other countries of the global south will create a Friends of Peace platform to resolve the Ukrainian crisis, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi said at the meeting with the Brazilian presidential advisor Keslo Amorim on the sidelines of the U.S. General Assembly. Xinhua, it's a Chinese media outlet, I believe, Xinhua media outlet is reporting this is an attempt by China, Brazil, and the global south to achieve peace, Wang Yi said in her statements. According to Minister, Friends of Peace is not a closed group but an open platform. It does not seek competition and confrontation, but conducts an inclusive dialogue. The new platform, as Wang Yi pointed out, will be an objective and rational voice and will play a constructive role in the political settlement of the Ukrainian issue. So, well, good on China, on Brazil, on other countries of the global south and the Russian friends, really, to come up with this idea. If they will manage to play significant role to de-escalate and to bring peace closer, then, well, that's going to be great, obviously. That's going to be great, although most likely vast majority of our community will agree with me that Western ruling class, Western ruling elite is not going to be happy about this new initiative from the global south, and they will try to block it before it even starts operating, this platform. But initiative is interesting. Let's see how will situation develop. Vzglyad newspaper is also reporting that according to The Economist, Western, yet another Western propaganda outlet, Zelensky is considering to conduct presidential elections, which is quite interesting, and bit surprising also, because I have some doubts that Zelensky will do this, although we all know that the Kyiv regime is under complete control of the Western ruling class, and this decision about conducting presidential elections is not on Zelensky, but on Washington and London. And if they tell Zelensky that, you know what, you have to go, and therefore we need to play this game of elections and stuff, and we need to put some other person there to replace you, then that's exactly what is going to happen. So yes, it all depends on Washington and London. Although let's go through this news. The head of the Kyiv regime, Vladimir Zelensky, is considering holding presidential elections in Ukraine next year, writes the British magazine The Economist. The publication did not specify the source of the information, but noted that Zelensky, in order to strengthen his power, may take this step despite the agreements reached last year by the main political forces of Ukraine to postpone the elections until the end of hostilities, reports TASS news agency. According to the results of their survey by the American National Democratic Institute, NDA, and this is, by the way, definitely a tool in hands of US Secret Services, NDA, and also Republican Democratic Institute, IRA. These are tools quite often being used by Washington to get involved in internal affairs of many countries worldwide. And I know this for sure because Georgia, when I was living in Georgia, was one of the countries in which NDA and IRA did play a very negative role. And they continue their attempts to interfere in Georgian politics, internal politics, until now. Just a small detail on that. So according to the results of the survey by the American National Democratic Institute of International Relations, its activities are recognized as undesirable on the territory of Russia. It's good that in Russia these criminals are banned, basically, which leads to publication, and confidence of Ukrainians in Zelensky has significantly decreased. So according to even NDA, Zelensky's rating is plummeting. If in May 2023 it was 80%, and I doubt that this number is correct, obviously it's not, but even NDA is acknowledging that from May 2023 to this year, 2024, this number dropped to only 45%. Earlier, the British newspaper The Sunday Times also noted a decline in Zelensky's popularity, according to the residents of Ukraine, whom their publication spoke. The president is more interested in political games than in ensuring the country's security, people were saying to this British outlet. So even though I'm questioning NDA's numbers, this is fake numbers, by the way. It is at least important that even NDA is acknowledging downfall of their popularity of Zelensky, and according to what I read, dear friends, on media, including on Ukrainian pages, and for what I hear from Ukrainian journalists, for example, Anatoly Shary, my assumption is that Zelensky's rating right now is from 15 to 25% max. From 15 to 20% max. That's it. No 45, no 35, from 15 to 25 maximum. So if Washington and London really decided that it is time to replace Zelensky, then that's exactly what is going to happen. Most likely, if Zelensky will make it live, of course, to the elections. Because he has many enemies, isn't it? Inside and outside of Kiev-controlled territory. In the West also, dear friends. One should not forget that Zelensky is annoying very many powerful groups in the West itself, and they may take action on that. If Russia wanted to take him out, he would be long gone, right? We all know that. So therefore, if something is going to happen to him, most likely it's the Western secret services and some powerful groups in the West. Let's see, Garage here. Let's see if there will be any elections in 2025 in Kiev-controlled territory. RT is also reporting that members of European Parliament reject calls for Kiev to apologize over World War II massacres. So members of the European Parliament have voted down a proposal calling on Kiev to apologize for the so-called Volyn massacre during the World War II, when Ukrainian nationalists slaughtered tens of thousands of Poles. Last week, the Europe of Sovereign Nations Group, ESN, a far-right faction in their legislature, proposed several amendments to their resolution titled Continue their financial and military support to Ukraine by EU member states. The proposal, as presented by Hans Neyhoff, representing their far-right IFD alternative for the Germany party. Why they call it a far-right, man? What that even means nowadays? Far-right. You quite often hear this terminology, far-right groups. What that even means? Right? I don't know. Anybody who is who has traditional values, who respects family values, can be called nowadays far right. Is it correct? I may be called the far right, while in reality I'm here in Russia. I see myself as a left liberal here in Russia, by the way. But in the West, because of this craziness of their neolibs and their crazy ideology, probably I would be seen as a right wing, right? But far right, this is an attempt to downgrade importance of the certain group. I guess this is attempt to marginalize certain groups. I guess. By these name callings, far right, far this, far that. What the hell, man? Just say it, right-leaning groups. That will be fine. We will understand what we are talking about. But anyways, let's go through this news. Last week, the Europe of Sovereign Nations Group, as I already said, ESN, right-wing faction in their legislature, proposed several amendments to their resolution titled Continued Financial and Military Support to Ukraine by the EU member states. The proposal, as presented by Hans Hendorf, representing their IFD, Alternative for Germany party, suggested recalling their massacres of Poles in Volyn and their eastern Galicia from 1943 to 1945, which were committed by members of the Ukrainian Insurgent Army, UPA, and stressing Ukraine's obligation to apologize in full for these atrocities, allow their exhumation of all victims, and prohibit their veneration of their historical personalities, rehabilitation of the historical personalities responsible for the massacres. However, their amendment was rejected with 395 votes were against it, and only 142 in favor, 66 abstained. And you tell me, dear friends, who these people are, who these 395 people are in so-called European Parliament. Because by rejecting this amendment, which is calling for Kyiv to condemn basically these genocidal actions of the Ukrainian nationalists, which is right thing to do, of course. Of course, everybody should condemn any genocidal actions of any time and by anybody, right? But these people, how many of them? 395 so-called MPs of the European Parliament, man, they are against it. So who these people are? Am I right if I will say that they are Nazi sympathizers? You tell me. You tell me. Or maybe they are so sick with Russophobia, dear friends. Maybe they are so sick with Russophobia that they can no longer operate as a people that maybe sometime in the past had some principles in life and dignity, but due to this disease of Russophobia, they just completely lost it, right? Maybe this is the case. But in any ways, this is shame on European Parliament, by the way. I never had any respect for this criminal institution anyways, but if anybody did, then they will probably question their attitude after they will hear about this news. If they will, because probably Western media are not going to report about it at all. And dear friends, before I continue, let me notice, if I may, that these channels of mine on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram, this small media project is completely subscriber funded. And if you like my work, if you think me and my channels deserve to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, or you can also donate through Boosty platform, which is this one, by the way. That's how it looks, or by subscribing to my Patreon page, on which I have extra content on regular basis, including second news updates that are no any less informative than first updates. And also I have page on Boosty, dear friends. Excuse me. You can subscribe to my Boosty page also, obviously. Links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And many thanks to all the members of our community who ever supported and who continues to support my work. Truly grateful, dear friends. Thank you for giving me this unique opportunity to work in this field of news and political commentary. Truly grateful. Let's continue with more news now. And RIA Novosti is reporting that IDF stated that they targeted about 220 targets of the Hezbollah in Lebanon in last 24 hours. Unfortunately, every single day level of escalation is increasing, and the world is region first of all, Middle East first of all, and then rest of the world is getting closer and closer to yet another regional war, which is extremely unfortunate, of course, and tragic. But it seems like at this point humanity is in no place to somehow influence this situation and de-escalate. RT is also reporting that Israel secures 8.7 billion weapons package from US. Defense Ministry reported about that. So the US has given Israel an 8.7 billion tranche of military aid, the majority of which will be used to top up the country's depleted air defense stockpile. The Israeli Defense Ministry said in a statement on Thursday the package includes 3.5 billion already received by Israel and set aside for critical acquisitions and 5.2 billion for the Iron Dome missile defense systems, David's Slings surface-to-air missile system, and a high-powered laser defense system currently in its latest stages of development, the ministry's statement reads. So yes, Biden, yesterday we had reports about $5.5 billion that Washington is allocating for Kyiv regime. Then later on, I saw this video from meeting between Biden and Zelensky, when Biden announced another military aid package for 2.5 billion, and also this news now about 8.7 billion for Israel. I mean, I don't know, man. US citizens should question what the hell is going on. It's up to US citizens, really. Are they really okay that their money being thrown away, I mean, this way? I don't know, but you know, if US was a paradise on earth, you know, that's a whole different story. Maybe some might in that case argue that, you know what, US is a paradise already and it has so much money that you don't even know where to spend, and that's why Washington is giving these tens and hundreds of billions to this and that. But US is nowhere close to be paradise, dear friends, isn't it? US is experiencing immense difficulties in terms of unity of the social fabric, in terms of social fabric, in terms of middle class, and in terms of many issues, right? Social security, economical prosperity, and so you name it, dear friends. Infrastructure, by the way, US infrastructure is crumbling. I mean, internet is full of videos about some unimaginable decline of the infrastructure in US, right? And at the very same time, hundreds of billions of taxpayers' money being thrown away like that by US elites. What the hell, man, really? What the hell? I don't get it, you know. And why citizens are not protesting about it? Majority, I know they are informed minority, but unfortunately they are not in a position to influence big time on the policies of Washington. But majority most likely can. And why this majority is so passive? You know? Why they are allowing the so-called elites in US, political elites, financial elites, or public figures, to divide society so much and to, you know, divert their attention. And it is the case, isn't it? In US, one of the main topics are all this woke culture. It's race always in the conversation, constantly in any topic, really, and many other issues that are basically creating divisions in the societies, not making society united and stronger, right? And why people are not realizing this in majority? I mean, I don't know. Anyways, let's continue with the news, and this is quite interesting and important information about Chinese nuclear submarine that was that experienced some technical difficulties, I guess, and sunk. Brand new one, by the way. Brand new one, according to reports in Wall Street Journal, and Russian media paid attention to this. For example, RBK News Agency. And let me translate this news so that I can give you a bit more details on that. So, in China, in late May and early June, their latest nuclear submarine sank. It happened at their shipyard near the city of Wuhan. This city is world famous now, isn't it? Wuhan. According to their Wall Street Journal and Reuters, so there are two media, two Western propaganda outlets, major propaganda outlets that are reporting about it, and they are citing some sources, unnamed sources. The Chinese authorities try to hide this fact, according to them. Their Zhou class submarine sank their first vessel of this type. It was built by China State Shipbuilding Corp at the Wuhan shipyard. She was last seen. This submarine was last seen at the pier on the Yangtze River in late May, where submarine was being fitted out before going to sea, I guess for sea trials. In early June, cranes arrived at the site of their sinking to lift the submarine from the bottom of the river, according to satellite images of this place from the Planet Labs. It is not known whether the ship was carrying nuclear fuel at the time of their sinking, but this is not excluded. Sources tell the Wall Street Journal there are no signs that water samples were taken after their emergency. It is also unknown about the victims or injuries as a result of this incident. So this is the one of the pictures, by the way. I guess this is a episode when some cranes were trying to pull out from the water this nuclear submarine. Maybe this is just a speculation of their on behalf of Wall Street Journal and the Reuters. I don't know, but I mean, accidents happen, especially when you are testing new type of weapon system, and this submarine was first of its class. So therefore, I would not be surprised at all if that submarine truly experienced some technical issues and just sank. Lessons will be learned, I guess, and their next generation submarines will be more secure. But information is quite interesting on its own, isn't it? The Ugledar newspaper is also reporting that President of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, stated that Turkey will not leave NATO while joining in BRICS. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that, man. If you ask me, no NATO member should be allowed to join BRICS or Shanghai Cooperation Organization. BRICS, first of all, I don't know Turkey's relationship with Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Let me check right now. Let's see member states here. Okay, it will take too long on this platform. Let's go on this site here, and so members are Belarus. Members of Shanghai Cooperation Organization are Belarus, India, Iran, Kazakhstan, China, Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan, Russia, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. Not the Turkey, by the way. So Turkey should not be allowed. Not in Shanghai Cooperation Organization, not in BRICS, until this country is a member of the extremely aggressive towards humanity organization, terrorist organization on the name of NATO. But anyways, let's go through this news. That Turkey's accession to the BRICS or ASEAN does not mean abandoning the North Atlantic Alliance. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said after returning from New York, where he took part in the UN General Assembly. As Erdogan pointing out, the country's presence in these major international organizations will change the arithmetics of the regions and lead to the creation of their completely different structure. He added that these associations represent opportunities for the development of economic cooperation, reports TASS news agency. The Turkish leader noted that participation in their works does not mean Turkey's rejection of the NATO. We do not think that these associations are an alternative to each other. Although there is some international tensions in the modern world, the Cold War era is long gone. in his opinion, many Western officials urge Ankara not to join the BRICS or any other organization. At the same time, the president stressed that these calls came from those people who for years forced Turkey to wait at the door of the European Union. He explained that Turkey cannot sever such ties just because it is a member of NATO. Well, I have nothing against Turkey in general, but as long as this country is a member of the NATO, I mean, I have to clarify. I disagree with many policies of the Turkey, but I have no issue Turkey joining BRICS or Shanghai Cooperation Organization sometime in the future if Turkey will no longer act on behalf of this immensely aggressive Western ruling class and will no longer be part of this terrorist organization, NATO. This is my personal opinion, and I'm quite sure many people, many citizens of the BRICS member states will be on the same page on that, and most likely also political leadership of the BRICS member states, because they don't want to try and Turkey to be used by a Western ruling class as some sort of Trojan horse in these organizations, in Shanghai Cooperation Organization, in the BRICS, right? Am I correct? And of course, Western ruling class will try to use Turkey exactly as a Trojan horse, because they have and always had quite significant influence on Turkey. And there is no indicators that anything is going to change in this regards. Some may even argue that political opposition in Turkey is completely controlled by Washington and London. I'm not an expert in Turkish internal policies, but there are opinions on internet according to which there are very powerful political groups in Turkey that most likely will replace sometime in the future Erdogan and his party. And those powerful groups are basically strongly allied with the Western ruling class, right? So it is obvious that Turkey will play role of a Trojan horse, intentionally or unintentionally, if it will join BRICS and Shanghai Cooperation Organizations. Therefore, Erdogan is mistaken if he thinks that he can play both sides. He cannot. He just cannot, and Turkey will not join, I hope at least, because that would be a mistake if Turkey will be accepted in BRICS while being member of the NATO. So I hope capitals of the BRICS will tell Turkey clearly that, you know what, you have to choose. You want economical development, you want prosperity, then leave that terrorist organization, NATO, and cut all the operations that you are involved on behalf of Western ruling class worldwide, especially in the Middle East, in Northern Africa. And then we will talk. That's supposed to be BRICS' approach on that. But anyways, let's see. If otherwise, by the way, if Turkey was not a member of the BRICS, of course, I will be only for integration of this republic into the BRICS, because Turkey definitely can bring some benefits to other BRICS member states, and Turkey itself will benefit immensely by being a member of the BRICS, right? RT is reporting that Gazprom loses pole position in Russia. So Russia's state-run energy giant Gazprom has dropped out of this year's Forbes list of the country's 100 most profitable corporations after recording its biggest net loss in nearly 3 decades. The company had topped their magazine's list in 2023. Russia's oil major Rosneft took their top spot this year with a reported net profit of more than 16.5 billion in 2023. The second and the third spots in the ranking were occupied by the state-controlled banking giant Sber and energy company Surgutneftegaz, with which registered net profits of slightly over 16.2 billion and 14 billion US dollars. According to the business magazine, Gazprom had benefited from the high gas prices in Europe in 2022, but its financial results were significantly impacted by the loss of the market last year, which is quite understandable. In May, the corporation reported a net loss of 6.8 billion for 2023. It's the first annual loss since 1999. In the wake of dwindling gas exports due to Western sanctions, the results came in a stark contrast to a net profit of 13.2 billion recorded during the previous year. The firm's total revenue fell to 92 billion US dollars in 2023 from 126 billion in 2022. So yes, quite understandable reasons there why Gazprom is not in the best position right now, but give it another 3 to 5 years. Give it another 3 to 5 years when new pipelines will be built between Russia and global south countries, between Russia and Mongolia, Russia and China. There are some other projects of cooperation in energy field that Gazprom is involved, obviously. So give it another, and Gazprom is heavily investing, as far as I understand, in LNG, right? And 3-5 years from now, and I believe Gazprom will regain its positions as one of the most profitable companies in Russia, because of course demand on gas will only increase in this world. And there is no scenario in which demand on gas is decreasing, right? So Gazprom has every reason to be optimistic about future, but currently, due to loss of European markets in significant levels, significant terms, of course, Gazprom will experience some difficulties for a year or two. It's just inevitable. So therefore, not really surprising information, but interesting. TASS news agency is reporting that Russian President, dear friends, spoke about, at least indirectly, spoke about alternative financial and banking system that needs to be created by the BRICS, because Western financial and banking system obviously is weaponized so much so that it presents a danger for every country that uses it, right? So let's translate this news. Let's translate this news about statements of Russian president. So Russia, together with the BRICS countries, is working to create an independent payment and a settlement circuit to serve all foreign trades. This was stated by the Russian president Vladimir Putin, speaking at the Russia's Energy Week that is taking place right now, by the way. As I'm reporting this update within the framework of the cooperation with the BRICS countries, we are working on the creation, on creating our own payment and settlement circuit, which will create conditions for their efficient and independent servicing of their all foreign trade. He specified, and this is a big deal, dear friends. This is exactly what I was talking about for so many times, so for so long, isn't it? I was, actively kind of promoting this idea that BRICS member states should create alternative financial and banking system. It is necessary for a world economy. It is necessary for BRICS member states, for everybody, basically, even for businesses from the Western countries, by the way, because they want to do business freely, right? Including in Russia. And why should they be afraid of illegal Western sanctions? They should have some means to do business, right, with the Russian partners. And this alternative financial and banking system that BRICS is clearly working on will definitely provide such opportunity to everybody, right, in this world. And this is great news. Sooner, BRICS summit to take place in Kazan, capital of Russia's Tatarstan Autonomous Republic, and I really hope we will receive from that summit some good news about concrete steps that was made in direction of creating of this alternative financial and the banking system. It is obviously going to be a breakthrough for the world economy, for sure. And a few more news, dear friends, and I will end this update. Kommersant newspaper is reporting that prices on gold reach new historical highs. So ounce of gold was trading for $2,700, by the way, a little more than $2,700 for an ounce, which is a big number, obviously, and I'm quite sure just give it another year or two and gold will reach 3,000 easy. And of course, experts are talking about different reasons why prices on commodities, different commodities, including gold, is increasing. But my personal take is that one of the major reasons is a process of de-dollarization, and another major reason is that more and more people are realizing that this Western multinational corporations are basically financial bubbles, and many people are afraid to invest in the shares of these companies, these multi-trillion companies at this point that basically can collapse for very many reasons, right? Something may happen in certain country in which, for example, some crucial minerals are mined, and that may create cause a crash of their share prices of these inflated, in my opinion, multinational corporations, inflated share prices of the multinational corporations. So therefore, and of course there may be some many other reasons also, but this is the two major reasons, in my opinion, that people are moving towards commodities that are always have value, and gold is one of them, obviously, and silver is another one. And silver is also reached its record high number for last 12 years, and ounce of silver, by the way, was trading for $32.37, which is also a big number for silver, obviously. And this trend will continue. This trend is unstoppable, by the way, because the dollarization is unstoppable, and more and more people will realize as time goes by that these share prices of the Western multinational corporations, including IT corporations, are just inflated unimaginably and can burst at just any time. So that's been said. One more news, dear friends, and I will end this update. This information comes from RT, and this is you can see this video, dear friends. This is US Embassy in Moscow, and that's the response on US sanctions against RT. US Embassy was facade of the US Embassy was basically advertising RT yesterday late evening, or maybe entire night, I don't know. Maybe this installation will stay there forever, I don't know. But that's also kind of trolling of the Washington, I guess, from RT staff. If this is connected with RT, let's go through this news, by the way. The facade of the US Embassy in Moscow was fit up with the defiant message from RT on the Thursday evening, as the Russian broadcaster informed the Americans that it is not going away. The projected message read, "We are not going away," in both English and Russian, with RT's logo deployed underneath. So yes, I guess this was done by RT staff. Okay, Nice trolling. Nice trolling. Although it is unfortunate that the US is leading charge, by the way, against free speech nowadays. How ironic is that, isn't it? That country that was positioning itself as a leader of the free speech and freedom of expression and all of that good stuff is now leading the charge against freedom of speech and expression. That's pretty bad. But this is the current state of US, dear friends. One may hope that US citizens will reclaim their own country, their own republic one day. Let's hope so. But for now, US is danger, threat, not just for freedom of speech, but US is threat for its own citizens and for citizens of every other country in this world, and Western ruling class in general, and all the countries that they control and they can use for their dark agendas or negative agendas. That's been said, dear friends, let's end this update. Quite a long one, more than an hour, but hopefully you will find the update informative, interesting, useful. And if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. Today I'm not gonna publish this video as a premiere. I will publish ordinary way as I was always doing. But probably you noticed that YouTube's algorithm crashed my yesterday's first update. Headlines episode did more or less okay, but first update was totally crashed by algorithm on YouTube. And well, I hope this video will do a little better. Video helps. So if you can, please click that like button, leave some commentary on any topic. Absolutely. I mean, just tell me hello. That will also do, obviously. And if you can, share information about my channel on internet, on the platforms that you are actively using, and in real life video friends, if they are interested in news, in politics. So that's been said, I guess I'm going to end this update. If you like my work, dear friends, if you want to support, you can do it with a donation or by subscribing to my Patreon page. All the links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. Once again, have a wonderful day, dear friends, and great upcoming weekend. Take care.